In today's episode of America's speed run towards poverty, we've got the self proclaimed democratic socialist Zohran Mamdani winning the race for mayor of New York City yesterday. Good job, guys. I knew we could count on you to maintain civilization. I mean, why waste any time? Let's just get straight to the point. Let's dive headfirst into economic annihilation because being comfortable and, having extra money and a good standard of living, that's for the birds. In any case, normally I don't like to get involved in the fray of politics and election cycles, but at the same time, I do have kids and I want to make sure that the world isn't an economic smoking crater by the time they are adults. And by God, you guys are kind of making it hard. So I like to give everybody a fair shot. I really believe in debating and engaging in the battle of ideas. So let's do that. Let us talk about Zohran's brilliant ideas. So Zohran says in his Twitter, taxation isn't theft, capitalism is. Well, let's go ahead and unpack that because I happen to be an actual capitalist, an actual business owner, one of those lazy rent seeking bums, just sitting around profiting while all of my workers starve to death. He says, taxation isn't theft, capitalism is. Well, I've been debating commies and socialists for well over 10 years now. So the argument goes something like this. Well, you see, profit, that is the surplus value, which is produced by the workers because the workers are the ones actually making the product in the case of a physical product like a car or something, right? So if they're the ones physically out there behind me, on the factory line making stuff, why should the owners, the capitalists, why should they get anything? They're just sitting on their asses doing nothing. Well, Zohran, let me explain something to you. Now, hold on, because I know this is going to be, a wild ride, but I know you can do this. Okay. You're a smart guy. You're articulate and handsome. Here's the thing. When you're making a new product, it requires this thing called planning and capital, hence the term capitalism. Like I had to buy this building, I had to buy the parts, I had to personally, take out loans and spend years designing and refining this thing. And my workers never asked if I wanted help, if I wanted to, pay them in terms of equity of the company rather than getting paid up front. And trust me, I've made the offer. Hey guys, do you want to get in on this deal? I think it's going to be worth a lot pretty soon. And as it turns out, most people just want to get paid whether or not the company succeeds. They want to get paid on time, every time, whether or not they screw up. And actually, I have a couple different business models. I've also got a services business model, engineering services. And yeah, as it turns out, most of the staff, in fact, all of the staff, they like to get paid no matter what, even if they screw up, even if the customer literally runs away or wants their money back because the staff screwed up so badly. Somehow the staff still want to get paid. And guess what? They do get paid because that was the agreement. That was the voluntary agreement, is that the staff don't have to worry about raising the money. They don't have to worry about planning. They don't have to worry about debt or marketing or whether the product even makes sense. They just get paid. That was the whole voluntary agreement to begin with. Okay, Zohran, okay, genius. Now, here's the other kicker, which is just like wild that people don't get this. In a capitalist economic system, people like Zohran can literally go out right now, and there are companies that do this. You can start a worker collective, call it worker owned means of production, socialism, whatever you want to call it. Everybody has their own little name for it. There are companies that do this. They're called employee owned companies where they don't have a boss. They vote on everything. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work, but it's perfectly allowable under an economic system where there is private ownership of property, whether it's a farm or a hotel or a grocery chain or you name it. It exists. Now, it's not very popular because, as it turns out, a lot of businesses do better when there's actually an ownership structure and they have to raise capital, and most people don't want to deal with that. Nobody is forcing workers to engage in wage labor. You've got people like Zohran saying, oh, well, the whole system coerced them. No, it didn't. You can literally go out and start any kind of business. You can buy a business. You can build one from scratch. You can go out and build a literal physical building yourself. There's a million and one ways to do it. But busybody freaks like this That's not good enough for them. Zoran wants to create city-owned grocery stores because he believes that groceries are too expensive. Hey, man, I agree. Groceries are horrendously expensive right now. It's because of the state. Okay, it's not because of the free market. But if you feel that capitalists are making things expensive, artificially increasing prices, start an alternative. You literally can do that right now. There is literally nothing stopping you. But no, instead, they want to rig the system by stealing from people, forcibly taking money from them through taxation and propping up these government owned grocery stores. Yeah, taxation isn't theft, capitalism is. I think this man puts his pants on his head in the morning. I don't know what else to say. Um, time will tell how it shakes out, but I can tell you right now, uh, it ain't going to work, buddy. I'm sorry, but the number of decisions that go into simply running a grocery store and the profit incentive behind it and all of the coordination will blow your mind. And the only way they're going to prop it up is through dumping more money onto it the same way that the government does with the postal service. Now, to be fair, Zoran isn't the only economically illiterate moron in the country. There's a hell of a lot more. And there are many things that we do currently which are no different. Okay. Government run public schools, government run military, government run police. So I'm not trying to pick on him specifically, although, when somebody just comes right out and says capitalism is theft, that argument needs to be annihilated because it is horseshit, plain and simple. But yeah, he's just the latest symptom of a mind virus, which is overtaking humanity, which is statist socialism. And, call it democratic socialism or communism, whatever you want. They're all more or less the same thing, just minor nuances and variations. But again, I would love somebody to come out and talk to my staff. Ask them, is Dan stealing from you? Is Dan stealing from you when he pays you on time every time? Meanwhile, he has gone into debt to finance these projects. And is it too much for him to ask that, if this thing becomes profitable, that he could actually make money from it and we can all be happy and you never had to worry about any of the setup, any of the initial risk, any of that whatsoever. You just got your paycheck. I mean, I remember before I started my company, uh, I was an engineer at an automotive firm, and I really loved the idea that I could just come in, I could make mistakes, I could be mentored by other people, I could make very costly mistakes, which I did, and guess what? I still got my paycheck every single time. I didn't have to worry about fronting money or whether or not the company had the capital to pay me without going into debt. Any of that. Being an employee is an enormous luxury in many senses. You're not taking on the risk. Okay. You're not going into debt. You're not potentially ruining your financial future. So, yeah, don't know what else to say, but America, if you decide to completely trash capitalism, you are doomed. You're doomed, and there may be no coming back from it.